working on it. And I guess everybody has got your own ERPNext instance. So you will be logging in, you will be kind of entering all the data. You will need to enter your own data. That also takes time. You will need to enter your own data. You will need to see how the financial statements look like, and ensure that things are properly there. So, and invariably you may make some mistakes. Invariably you may uh, tag, encounter some challenges and all that. So we'll use these 10 sessions to look at those. We'll see how the progress is being made. I would request you to also spend some time beyond this session. So it's not 1.5 hour sessions and you're done. You will need to spend 1.5 hours every day. So you attend the session. Tomorrow we don't have a session. So tomorrow you'll spend 1.5 hours to kind of revise and look into what you are doing. And do so. It will not be just something that you do only in the session. You will need to do some work outside the session. So you need to work on it. And I would also urge you to, who are people attending this session, and you are also on WhatsApp group. So if you get into trouble, you can put an SOS, help is needed, on the WhatsApp group. And I would expect one of you, some other of you kind of respond to it saying, okay, let me help you. And if you think that this help could come from people who know about ERPNext already, let me tell you, it's not going to happen. Mostly it will like this, that, oh, you know what, I also faced the same problem yesterday, and I can help you now because I know it happened with me, so I can help you better. So that's how I'm sure you will learn. You'll make mistakes, you'll correct those mistakes, you'll help others correct their mistakes, and so on. And that is how we will learn. Okay, so it's not going to be a typical traditional training session where somebody comes and talks and talks and talks and you just hear and hear and hear. This is where you're going to work. You're going to help yourself, you're going to help others, and that is we are going to help everyone to learn, including you. Okay, so that is how we are going to do this kind of a sessions. Maybe a little unusual. I know when I do these sessions, people are a little apprehensive, saying that, oh my goodness, this seems different, but it will be interesting. I assure you that this will be interesting. Yeah. So please feel free to ask questions. Please feel free to ask for help. It is very important that you ask for help, because if you're stuck somewhere, please don't hesitate. Put it on the WhatsApp group that you need help, and let some of you kind of respond to it saying that, okay, we can help you. And that is how we will proceed together. So that is very important. Okay. Before I begin with the PowerPoint slides, any question, comment? Okay, so let me just share the slideshow. Gupteshwar, have you shared the URL and the user ID password to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just trying to present. Okay. Do you see some slideshow over there?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you are not hearing too much of background noise because it started raining here. Just give me a minute. I'll close all the windows. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to share the screen. Yeah, thanks, Ashish. Okay, can you see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, so let us now begin. So what we're going to do, we are going to look at very essential business concepts, and though we'll be looking at sales and purchase, the entire cycle per se. Generally, my observation is that everybody kind of understands sales purchase easily, and the process may be new to some of you. But as we do ERP next, we'll kind of understand that anyway. So we don't need to really spend time in looking at PowerPoint slides to understand this concept. What people typically have a challenge, as what I observed, is to understand some kind of accounting concepts and financial statements per se. So that's the reason I'm going to spend some time, and also to give some background about how the company works and what are the business functions. I'm going to say some slides on that. So we'll have like an hour session, so and so. But I want you to ask questions, and actually I'm going to ask questions because I know some of you already know most of it. So it will be really helpful if you kind of contribute. So please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up. And that way we will kind of go through these slides. So first we'll talk about business functions, then business processes, accounting concepts, and then financial statements. So these are the business functions. Just read the slide and see if you are kind of making sense. These terms, what are things. So when you say business functions, are actually many times in a small companies, these are like departments. So you have a sales department, you have HR department, and you have uh, accounting department, or so there could be some support functions like administration department and so on. So, but the correct word is basically business functions. So let me actually invite you to tell what is this function do, what the people in that department or in that function do. So let me start with HR. I mean, you can raise your hand, and then that would be helpful. So raise your hand if you know what does HR do. So any one of you would like to share what does HR do? Any one of you please raise your hand. Those who know what does HR do? HR is human resources. HRM is human resources management. What do HR people do? Yeah, please raise your hand if you know the answer. Yes, Rishikesh.
Yeah, they are into recruitment, and
Mm-hmm.
they uh, manage the attendance. Uh,
Very nice.
yeah, they even manage the salary part. So that's all.
Okay, so yeah, so they recruit, they do the leave and attendance of employees.
Yeah,
Fair enough. They also organize training. So
yeah,
that's another thing. Yes. Good. Good. Fair enough. So that's thanks, Rishikesh. Now you can lower your hand.
yeah. Thank you.
So let us, yeah. So let us move on to the next one. Let us pick up um, sales. What do salespeople do? Just raise your hand and answer. What do sales people do? Please raise your hand and tell.
They understand
Yes, anyone of
the
you? Yeah.
they understand the
Yeah.
requirement from the clients and how it serves their purpose with the current product. So these things
Mhm.
salespeople do.
Okay. Very good. May I know who was speaking? I couldn't see the name.
I'm Radhika.
Hi. Thanks, Radhika. Okay, great. So yes, so Radhika, thank you. So good. So we kind of got some understanding of what sales do. Okay. Any idea what marketing people do? Anybody? What do marketing people do? You can guess. I mean, it's nothing right or wrong. This is not an exam. This is not an exam. So please say what you know, and if it turns out to be wrong, also that's fine because that's how we will kind of learn. So please speak up. What do marketing people do?
Uh, Marketing people simply, I think, promote their products or advertise their products so
Hmm.
that, yeah, in the market, so that any buyers, they can grab any buyers or simply tell someone to how much their product is useful for the users, kind of thing.
Okay, very good. So advertisement is definitely an important activity that
Yeah,
marketing people do. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Ashish.
yeah.
Then let us look at accounting. What do accounting people do? What do accounting people do?
So, hello, Sarshita here.
Hi, Shraddha.
Yeah, hi. Accounting people responsible for the financial statement. So they can handle the tax related tasks. Uh, then uh, the, they can do the supervises and reviews important financial reports things.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good. Then what do finance people do?
They basically, sorry, sir, Radhika here. They
Hi, Radhika.
basically see the report like what the sales have been happen in the system for an organization or say. So they just maintain the trial balance sheet or their what are their expenses, and they just manage their trial balance reports and all.
Okay. That is actually what accounting people do actually. That's not what finance people do. It's more of accounting function to maintain this trial balance and look at the financial statements.
Hello.
Yes, Anirudh? Yeah.
Yes. So basically, financial people do the manage the cash flow and fund flow in the business.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. So they're basically looking at how this cash flow will be there and how the funds will flow either in or out, both. They will
Yes.
like to control that fund. Very nice. Thank you, Anirudh. Good. By the way, accounting and finance is something which invariably goes together. So many times we may not really differentiate because in many companies there could be only one person who does both accounting and finance. Though, or it will be seen like it's an accounting and finance department. It's kind of one function most of the time, one department most of the time, or headed by at least one person most of the time. But there are some distinct difference between these two. They're basically two different disciplines altogether. So that is how it is. Even sales and marketing, actually people say it's nothing, not two different functions. There's only one function. Some people say marketing is a function and sales is just part of marketing. So that is another way to look at it. Many will also call it business development and say that is both marketing and sales. So these are nothing like, I mean, in real life you will see different interpretation of these things. So that's the reason I say there's nothing right or wrong in this process. This is how you see it. So you may see uh, finance and accounting together and see that's one thing. So it is definitely two different things, but you may have some different understanding, which is fine. And this is the forum where you can actually clarify if you have some different understanding of it. Okay, what is meant by operations? Anybody knows what is operations? Have you heard this term operations? Yes, Vaishali.
Hello, is
Yeah.
it audible?
Yes.
I think operations manages the projects, delivery of to customers, and planning and implementation. These kind of things comes under operations.
Perfect. Perfect. Anyone else has some other understanding of operations? Anyone else have any other understanding of operations? The reason I'm asking why there's another understanding of operations, because operation is a very industry specific term. So in software industry, when we say operations, we actually mean delivery, delivery of software services industry particularly. When you say operations, essentially means delivery of software services. So you would have delivery heads, who basically are operations head in a way, and that is how we look at operations here. If you go to manufacturing industry, they would call it as a production department, or they would have something like a shop floor, but they actually manufacture things. So if you go, for example, Tata Motors, you will see assembly line where the car is getting assembled. There is a huge assembly line and there's a kind of shop floor where the where at the end of the assembly line there's a car kind of comes up. That is operations for Tata Motors or for any car industry or manufacturing company. That is operations. If you go to a bank, the core banking, taking opening up accounts, deposits, uh, giving loans and all that. That is all core banking. What we call it is operations for that industry. So operations term will change depending on the industry. Uh, in typically we do deal with manufacturing companies. So here it is manufacturing. That is what the operation is. Banking, it is banking. That is operations. In colleges, the operations is actually teaching learning. So the classes are being conducted, teachers teach, conduct exams and all that. That is operations, right? So operations would mean different things in different industries per se. Okay. Then what is remaining? Information systems. I'm sure everybody would know this. So what is information systems people do in a company? We're not about a software company here. We're talking about a manufacturing company or a bank, where there is an IT department or information system. What do these people do? What people in that department do? Please raise your hand and answer. What do IT
Sir,
department do? Yeah. Yeah.
Acumatica, yeah. Sir,
Yeah.
basically for example, I'll take an example. In an IT information system, people do the manages whatever the issues they are facing in a system or in a we say in a product for executing the process. Maybe an IT person can help in that.
Perfect. Anyone else? Any other opinion? Very good, Radhika. I thought I will hear a lot of things about IT department. Okay, we'll go ahead with this understanding for the time being. Okay, we have kind of done everything except board of directors. Okay, so we incidentally have 3 directors in this meeting. But then what do these directors do? I think I should not call upon them to answer. I will call upon others to answer. What do these directors, so board of directors do? And these are board of directors is typically either it could be board of directors for small companies. In large companies, they are typically called executive management or executive management council. And they will have CEOs, CIOs. CEO is Chief Executive Officer, CIO is Chief Information Officer, which is typically head of IT department. There could be Chief Marketing Officer and there could be Chief Operations Officers. And we call it CXO. X is can take any value. So we call it also Executive Management Council or something like that. Every company will have a different nomenclature. So these are the top guys, basically, top managers. So what do these people do? Any idea?
So request to everyone that we know the concept by we know the concepts or terminologies by our own academics, maybe from the previous company, maybe from friends, colleagues. So we know some or other things. So I request everyone to be interactive and participate. So as Shrikant clearly said, there is nothing wrong and right or wrong in it. It just you are putting up your point. So that would be validated, invalidated in this forum, and maybe you got to know something more, and that would be clarified. So I mean, please participate, make it interactive. This is not a college lecture that we are attending. It would be one way. So it has to be other way around to be make it more fruitful and make it more. I mean, take more out of it. So you have to be you have to participate. Thank you. Please.
Thanks, Utteshwar, for saying this. Because I'm really looking for interaction and I'm not seeing that kind of level of interaction yet.
Yeah, hello sir. Jitendra is here.
Yeah, Jitendra.
Yeah, director do supporting the executive and their team, maintaining
Hmm.
the company resources, creating options policies.
Hmm. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
That's
I
it.
think Ashish also raised hand. So Ashish,
Yeah,
would you like to also
yeah.
share? Yeah.
I think board of directors are jointly supervise the activities of organization kind of things.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So
So
let us. Yeah. Yeah.
sorry. So basically, director may be responsible for the whole the management. We can say the execution of IT infrastructures.
Hmm.
Uh, they can effectively means delivery of the networks and in the development part also.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, anyone else? Okay, great. So we've got some understanding, and as I said, there is nothing right or wrong. I think we understand because we are working. I mean, we are not. I am teaching, so I need to know the complete definitions and all that. But as we are working, we have developed some understanding. What do HR people do? Many times, many people also develop understanding that HR people don't. I mean, I'm just giving example of HR here. Anything you can substitute anything there. So many people may think HR people don't do anything. You know, they just sit, come, and take salaries. We are the people who are working, but these people don't do anything, kind of a thing. Since there's already HR person from here, I'm taking example of HR. But I mean, because we don't know what these people are doing, what their responsibilities are, and all that. So, anyway, one should understand this. If you're working in a company, you should know what are the other functions and what do people do. But more so for us, we are working in ERPNext, where because ERPNext is a transactional system which will capture all the transactions in all the departments, in sales, HR, accounting, and all that. And the whole power of ERP comes because it is across functions. So that is where this power of ERP next comes in. So we need to have some broad understanding of what is these functions are and what are they actually included in these functions. So let us go through few slides just to kind of reconfirm our understanding. So board of directors, as I said, is the apex body, typically apex executive body in a way, in any company, the topmost people. They are typically there to define policies. So every company will have some kind of a leave and attendance policies or some kind of compensation policies, some bonus policies. Different policies are there. Safety policy. Uh, so all those policies are defined, largely defined. The responsibility of managers, top managers, to define these kind of policies. They are responsible for making these policies, which will define how the work should be happening. And these are the people who make strategic decisions. Strategic decisions could be something like whether we should launch a new product in a market, or whether we should go into a new territory altogether. Like we are currently doing business in India, let us start looking at Dubai as another market, or start looking at UK as another market. So these are strategic decisions. Why they are called strategic decisions? Because uh, they are expensive decisions. It requires a lot of energy, cost, time, money to do that. And once you do it, you're not going to kind of reverse it. There's no undo out there. The impact is pretty much big. So it's high impact kind of decisions that they're making. So if they make wrong decisions, it's a problem for the company. And some company actually go bankrupt because of the wrong decisions made by this board of directors or by the executive committee. So people who are working in that capacity has a lot of responsibility. So many times you may not you may wonder what these people are doing, sitting, the CEOs of companies. What are they doing? They just attend meeting after meeting, but they have a lot of responsibility, because if they make mistakes, the impact is much higher as compared to others making mistakes. So they need to keep on reviewing whatever the decisions they're making. So for example, if they make a decision to launch a new product, they need to review whether what is the impact. Is this product doing good in the market? Is it not doing good in the market? Do we need to kind of call off this product, or should we invest more in this product, and so on? I mean, there's always these decisions need to be reviewed or make some course correction and all that. So that is what board of directors do. their role in ERPNext or any ERP for the matter is not really entering any transactions, uh, but actually looking at the reports. So how do you really know what is happening in the company? So if I'm a CEO of a company, how do I know? If the company has 10,000 people, 100,000 people, how do I know what people are doing, what is happening? So the only way, actually speaking, in today's world I'm talking about, is to look at those reports, is to look at those analytics, the charts that you kind of see there. You see a lot of analytics coming in ERPNext. You see a lot of analytics and reports, and these are the reports will be used by top management. And many times, those of you who work with client would hear these things that this is a report that we need or management needs, or this is a kind of analytics that you need. Why do they need? Because when you want to make decisions, very strategic, high impact decisions, you want to ensure that you are making informed decisions. Please note, nobody knows whether the decision is right or wrong to begin with, right? I mean, why would somebody do a wrong decision to begin with? So the decision turn out to be wrong because if they are made without understanding the context or without having facts and figures. So to make informed decisions, the decisions which have basic information, the board of directors will be using ERP to see the reports, different kind of reports. And many times we need to think through what kind of reports managers would like to see so that they can make decisions. Okay, so the reports are not there just for sake because okay, we have got some data, so let us make some reports. The reports are there because somebody is making decisions by looking at those reports. So if there is a mistake in the reports, the decisions will be wrong, and the decisions are wrong, the company is going to suffer, the people in the company are going to suffer, the customers are going to suffer, and all that, right? So any quality issue in the report is not a trivial thing. It's something which has a very serious impact on the business because somebody there looking at the reports and making decisions for the company. Okay, so that's where the board of directors come in. They use systems more to see the reports, see the analytic charts coming after the ERP next. Operations, as I said, are people who are actually delivering, and that is where you'll see this industry specific part of ERPNext. So we may look at manufacturing, if time permits, we look at manufacturing as an example near the end of the training program. But if you look at other like non-profit, for example, as an industry vertical, and ERPNext for non-profit, their operation would mean raising funds, actually managing projects which are being executed, which are supported, donate, for which this donation has been collected. So, organ preparing reports for the donors and so on. So there is a different kind of operations. For education, the operation will be all about delivering teaching. So teaching learning process is all about operations there. So healthcare or hospitals, there's a different kind of operations. So all what you see in hospitals going on the hospital floor is basically operations there. So you will see different models or different functionality in ERPNext for different industries like healthcare, education. The reason manufacturing, the reason they are there because every industry is different and the operations will be different for this. So when you say industry specific thing, the operations part will change. Okay, every industry will invariably have accounting, finance, HR, and those kind of things. So that will be kind of goes across industries. So they're common functions, but operations will be very specific. Manufacturing model is manufacturing or education or healthcare and so on. So that is what is operation. Basically, it's about creating and delivering the product or service. So in banking, the products are fixed deposit, saving account, loans, and all that. And they kind of deliver services to customers. In software development, is all about developing software or maintaining software, supporting software, and so on. For education, it is about teaching, delivering courses, and all that. So it depends on industry to industry. When I'm saying all this, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up. Don't listen like a sermon. Don't listen like I'm just talking and you should not be asking questions. Please ask questions in between. Any doubts that you may have. Marketing is little complex in a way because marketing also has various meanings. People understand marketing differently. But typically, I mean, what the first statement says is basically what we understand as advertising, that you communicate to customers. So you say, you don't tell customers that Coke is or Coke doesn't tell its customer that what you drink is a sugar, carbonated, sweet water kind of a thing. It's not, it's basically water plus something. They will say it's refreshing, right? Or Pepsi will say it's young, something which is great. Or I think which is that this says Dar ke aage jeet hai. What is that ad? Which cold drink is it? Dar ke aage jeet hai.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah. So they will say that, right? So they will give that kind of communication. So every company will like to tell about its products and services to its customers and prospective customers, to customers, potential customers, prospects. So they want to kind of tell, and they need to have that kind of budget program. How do we want to tell? You know, whether they will have TV advertisements, whether they will have on social media they will market and so on. So they need to really make those plans, strategies, programs, messages. What will they tell to their customers then? And this is very important because you don't buy cold drink. You know, you buy Coke, you buy Mountain Dew, you buy Sprite, right? And you buy it because you get convinced, or you get convinced by the marketer saying this is what you need essentially, right? So you go and buy a particular motorbike, or a car because you know the marketers are convinced you that this is what you need. So that is very important. Communication is very important. It also includes market research, you know, because they also need to know what those market want. So many companies also conduct market research. So you may get these surveys sometimes saying that, you know, we want your opinion on something. And many product companies, you'll see even in website and all that, you'll hear this thing about market research, what the market wants. So that is something that is part of marketing. And then product development, new products that you want to develop. That also comes as part of marketing, because marketing will always look out saying that how do I increase my revenue for the company. And the way to increase revenue of this company is to have new products. And to have a new products, you need to really do some market research. You need to really understand what customers want and accordingly make the product. So Coke, for example, will have Coca-Cola will have a Coke as one thing, but it will also come with something like a Coke Light, you know, which is sugarless kind of a cold drink. Or I think Tata Salt. I mean, as simple as salt, right? Salt is salt. I mean, what is great about salt? But there also you see kind of variants, right? Product variants, where there is a Tata Salt Light, which is supposedly low on sodium. You know, so they kind of make new products, going on making new products. Okay. By the way, have you heard this term product variant in the context of ERPNext? Just raise your hand if you seen this term in ERPNext. Raise your hand. I mean, yeah, Rishikesh has seen that.
Yes, I've heard it in it's product dot variant model.
Yes, thanks. So marketing guys may or may not use ERPNext or ERP kind of a product because they may not be doing so much of a transactions person. But if they're getting into this market product development, then yes, they need to worry about product variants and so on. So this is still a little more strategic kind of thinking that we have. And but they will make use of sales reports or sales analytics. They will also like to see the what is happening with customer complaints and those kind of things. Customer service is part of marketing, so they like to understand, are there any customer complaints, what is the trend going on. So all these analytics that you see in sales, you know, the user of all these is marketing guys. Okay, so it's very important that they see this kind of reports, because then they can make, so any strategies and all that, any decision making that happens, right, it happens all based on data, based on these reports and analytics. So from that perspective, they are users of ERP. Then comes sales, and sometimes sales include customer service, sometimes customer service belongs to market department, depends on company to company. But basically sales are the people who bring money in the company, and that's the reason they're important people, because if you don't have salespeople, you will not have revenue, you will not have any income, you will not have salaries, and you really not have people working for the company. So you can't really have a company in a way, because unless you have customers and they're paying customers, importantly, then only the company can survive and grow. So sales the people who actually sell the products and services to customers and bring in money. Okay, and they are bigger user of ERPNext. The entire sales model that we look at, you will see majority of this actually data is entered by them. They will be creating sales order and sales different documents. We'll see that when we get into that. But they are users. They are actually entering data and so on. So sales people are important users. Finance, as already been said, finance is all about controlling the fund inflow and outflow. And they would make budgets, they will make budgets, and they will have financial investment plans and so on. Uh, ERPNext has some functionality which can be used by finance people. So in ERPNext, we have something called cost centers, we have something called as budget and all that. We may not be covering all that in our sessions, uh, but that's an important functionality. And as ERPNext is growing, I mean, it is in version 13 now, but over a period of time, we are seeing more and more functionality is being added, which can be used by these finance people. So we could do something like a budgeting, actual versus budgeted kind of a trends, and those kind of things. So though we may not see how we will be using finance functionality of ERPNext, it is important functionality. Finance people are users of ERP, and they will actually use ERP to not only to enter the budgets, but also to track the budget. Whether the budget is being consumed or not properly. Who is doing that. They will also put some policies in terms of, for example, expenses. So there are policies about expense reimbursement. How much you can claim. So if you work over the weekend, and if you are having lunch, or if you're traveling for business, if you're traveling for a business purpose, then you can claim some expenses, right? So how much one can claim, all that, and who can approve these claims, whether the project manager can approve or director can approve. All this is defined by finance people, and many a times this finance people, whatever they define, get configured uh, in ERPNext. So many times those who deal with clients will actually need to understand all these things from finance people. So you be interacting with finance people, they will tell this is what the policies that we have, what expense reimbursement and so on. So those are the again people who are kind of a stakeholder in ERPNext. Then accounting is what we say is the heart of ERP. Okay, and I'm using this statement very importantly, because unless accounting is there, I mean, it in a way is the heart of company's operations, because all that is happening in the company. Sales is coming in, you're buying something, you're selling something, you're paying employee a salary, you're paying taxes to government, all that transactions that are happening, right, has implication in accounting. Everything comes in accounting, and that is how people manage. So accounting is a critical function in an organization. But when it comes to ERP, this is like a heart of ERP, right? Any other module of ERP, anything is happening, will have some implication for the accounting, right? So accounting becomes a key function within ERP. And unless you understand accounting, you can't really understand ERP. It is so important from that perspective. So anything that happens in any transaction that happens across ERP, there will be some implication of it in accounting. So you need to really understand accounting. And accounting is basically tracking everything. I mean, tax, paying, getting money from the customers, paying money to vendors, paying to employees, which is payroll basically. All that is part of accounting. All that is recorded and maintained. All the information is maintained by accounting. We have talked about HR. I guess HR is something which everybody understands. HR is a people who recruit, which are the people who train. HR is also responsible for retaining people. So only because you hire people doesn't mean they will stay in the company. They will stay in the company because the company has a good culture, company has good policies, HR policies. So it's a responsibility of HR to ensure that people are working for the company for long, and they're really happy working for the company. Not only they're working, but they're happy working for the company. So they will also train people because it's a responsibility of HR to ensure that people are continuously learning and becoming better at their job. Right? So that is job of HR. They also have to do some kind of branding in terms of employer branding. So how do they attract good talent? That is also the responsibility of HR. So this is what typical HR would do. IT department, I guess we already discussed, define IT requirements, what is required by the company, by the business, deliver those systems and provide MIS report. So if you work with a company which has IT department, and for example, you are working and delivering ERPNext to them, their job, they may work with you, obviously, their job is to ensure that we are getting the right requirements. The requirements could be in terms of what kind of information is required, reports and so on. It will also be important that we deliver those systems and we support those systems. If there are any bugs found, we need to fix those bugs and so on. So IT department is a support department in a company. And then there are other support functions like purchase is there, which will discuss buying inventory of raw materials. So they are the people who buy for the company, purchase. They're also called procurement. Then facility management is basically if there's a large company and they have buildings and campuses, they need to manage that. In many places, facility management is also called as administration. So administration will look after overall facility in terms of ensuring everything is maintained and upkeep. Then legal department could be there just to ensure that there's any legal issues, they need to handle that. If a company is a publicly limited company which has stock in the market, then they have investor relations department which will communicate with shareholders, organize annual general meetings and so on. So that is a specific function applicable only for publicly limited companies, like large companies, like L&T would have it, Reliance would have it, so and so. Yeah. Is this clear to all of you? Any questions so far? Whatever I said, was it something different than what you understood earlier? Is it something inconsistent to what you had known earlier? In one of the training program, I was telling what is marketing, and one of the participants said, "Thank you, sir. Till now, I was thinking marketing is all about going in market and buying things. So we call shopping, but he used to use the word, or the family people used to word marketing. So let us do marketing today. Essentially, would mean go to market and buy sabji, vegetables, and grocery and all that. So that was marketing. But then, the term we use marketing in business is much different than what we use in our families. So many of these terms may have some different interpretation, some different understanding. So I just want to ensure that is this consistent, whatever you have know so far, is this something you want to clarify? This is the time to do that.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is the basic difference between accounting and finance?
Yeah. So accounting is all about recording transactions, all accounting transactions, and preparing financial statements. Uh, Whereas if you talk about finance, they are responsible for controlling the fund flow. So for example, company needs fund for cash flow. So for example, company needs funds for developing new product. So that means taking loans
Hmm.
from either banks or some other institutional investors. So finance people will be involved in that. Accounting people will not be involved.
Okay.
So getting loans, or you have surplus money and you want to invest that money in say mutual fund or some other ways. So that investment decisions are also made by the finance people. If the time is for making salaries and we have not received the customer payment yet, so we may need to take some kind of overdraft from a bank
Uh,
temporarily because we need to pay out salary on time. That is a decision of a finance manager. So that is what they will control the fund flow or the cash flow.
okay. Thank you.
So, thanks. Yeah. Any other doubts? Okay. So Archana said no, so no doubts for now. Okay. Now let us understand this term business process. So we are talking about business functions. So business process, on other hand, is a kind of a step. So just to put it simplistically, business process are basically a kind of a different steps, a kind of a procedure that you are following. So let me take an example of a business process. I think that will make it easier. Uh, just give me a minute to share another. Let me just open a particular diagram, a slide, and that will explain what is a business process. By the way, before even I show that, any one of you, what do you understand by business process? Any one of you, what do you mean? By, what do you understand by the term? Have you heard this term business process? Is it? Are you hearing for first time, or have you heard it before? If you heard it, what do you understand by the term business process? Okay, so this is an example business process, which basically talk about three different business functions: sales, accounting, and manufacturing production. So what you see on the left hand side, do you see the slide? Just want to confirm whether you see the slide. Please say yes if you see the slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we have this sales function, accounting function, and manufacturing function, manufacturing production, production or operations essentially. Okay. So in sales, they will generate order. They get kind of order from the customer, and they submit the order. That is what the sales guy would do. Okay, and then it will go to accounting. What accounting people will do in this particular company, they'll first check the credit. Like you got an order for, so let us say you make furniture for company, for for your clients. So you got an order to make 100 chairs. Right? So you'll first check whether this company from where got an order has enough credit. I mean, are they a reputed company from where your order has come, or if they are existing client, what is their history? Do they pay on time? Do they have enough, or are they supposed to pay before for their earlier order? They will check credit basically, and if the credit is okay, then they will tell production department to go ahead and make the product. So they assemble the product. They will actually make that kind of chairs, and then they ship the product. And the parallelly, this accounting people will generate invoice. They will generate invoice for the sales guys to kind of go and collect money. So the logistic department or the operations guys will actually ship the product to the client, and the sales guys. This generally the invoice also sent along with the delivery. So whenever somebody accepts delivery, they also get an invoice. Invoice is like a bill. So they get a bill, and then they have to pay. So obviously, no client, at least in India, pays bill just like that. So you need salespeople to follow up with them and ensure that the payment is received. So what is not shown in here is that you get this bill. The client gets this bill. The salespeople will follow up with that client, get the payment, and the payment will come. Again, accounting guys will record that payment within the system, and then the process is over. So this is called order to cash process. Okay, and let me tell you, this is a simplistic depiction or presentation of what happens in this process. If you look at say L&T, which gets orders to construct a commercial complex or a manufacturing plant, and they get cash at the end of that project. They also have cash order to cash process, which is obviously much more complex than what you can see or what you can even show on a slide. Okay, Intacct Trans company also gets an order and gets a payment from the customer. So there is also a cash to order to cash process. So that is also a process, and again there are multiple people involved there. Instead of a manufacturing production, there it will be people who are delivering, developing thing, and obviously in that also you will have people who are programmers and testers and QA, quality assurance people, business analysts, project managers, and all kind of people. So operations actually could be a very big thing out there. So there could be many things happening there. So a process could be very complex, and or it could be very simple depending on the company. The company is small, it could be simple process. Okay, but there are many things happening across business functions. And what is happening in ERP is that in ERP actually we see all these transactions happening. So a transaction, so somebody enters a sales order in ERP, and then that against that sales order, things are keep on happening there, right? Somebody checking credit, somebody is generating invoice, work is happening. So some tasks are in projects are happening which will be associated with that sales order. Some completion tracking could be done. Is that 80% of the product is done, 20% is remaining, sort of it. But then the invoice is sent, and then ultimately the payment is received, and so on. So a lot of things are happening, and this is all happening in ERP. So at any point of time, you know what is happening with that sales order. Okay. So even the people, people working in the companies at 20 or 2,000 or 20,000 or 2 lakhs, if you have a good ERP in place, you will actually know what is happening inside, how this process is executed. Okay. If it is stuck somewhere, for example, if the check credit is stuck, because of that, you can't really produce something. You will get to know in ERP that it is stuck over there. All right. So ERP is why ERP is used in the company is simply because different business functions people are working in their specialized work, right? Sales people are going ahead chasing customers, getting orders. Accounting people are generating invoices, right? Keep on generating invoices. Production people are keep on producing services or producing products and so on. But all this information is going in ERP. So anybody, particularly top management, looking into ERP will get a kind of a virtual stance of what is happening in the physical world. So we call it a digital twin. That means whatever is happening in real life, there is something you see that there in the digital world in the year. So if the company has recently bought maybe 100 tons of raw material, that is there in the inventory. You can see that physically, go there, see that. You can also see that inventory in your computer in the ERP system. That yes, there is 100 tons of inventory. You also know what these 100 tons have, from where they have bought in, what have you paid for it or not. All that information is available in here. So from that perspective, ERP becomes very powerful software and very essential software for companies to operate. Right? Particularly when companies are growing, not every now and then you can't go and watch. So if you're running a small shop, kind of a shop where you have all the products that you're selling in front of your eyes and you're kind of selling them, then you really don't need ERP because you see all the products out there. But if you're running a retail chain, you have 100 stores and you have products not only in the stores but also in the warehouse somewhere outside the stores, and you're shipping products from warehouse to the stores and all that. You really can't go and check everything, inspect everything physically. You need to have that information in the system, and then only you can see. It's a digital twin. You can see that what is happening in physical world, and that is where ERP becomes important and necessary for running small and large business, growing business. I would say any growing business or large business would need ERP. And even for small businesses, if people are like 5 people, 10 people, 20 people company, 50 people company will need ERP. If it's a single person company, may not require ERP. But if it's 5, 10, 20 people company, yes, they would require ERP. Yeah. So we'll be getting into ERP next, and we still have to finish accounting concept. So though I said that today only I'll show you slides, tomorrow morning also, not tomorrow, day after, Wednesday, I will show some slides of accounting, and then we'll start with ERPNext. Meanwhile, please go on, log in to your instance, see everything is working fine there, check it up, because we'll start working on ERPNext on Wednesday. So please check whether your login is working, all the information is there, any issues with it, please check that before you come for the next session on Wednesday. And as I said, please create a WhatsApp group. So last 2 minutes, open for questions. Okay, so this was like a warm-up session, the first session. I guess you might have figured out by now that I will be having a lot of silence in between to ask you questions. I'll keep on asking them, please ask questions. So I wanted to be more interactive going forward. So please.
Shrikant, I have one
from
question.
Yes.
Normally you have shown that chart saying that example business process where the sales, accounting and manufacturing goes in a certain pattern. But in practical business, sometimes the sequence is very disturbing. So sales happens and directly it goes for manufacturing without consulting with an accounting or anywhere. Because the limits and everything, the credits are normally known to the sales department. So sales department takes the call, accept the order, and it directly is passed on to manufacturing or it's shown to the production planning basically. So sometime it's going to be in the accounting system is not going to be center of the heart of the organization. In terms of the processes, the way you have shown it, it's going to be disturbed in nature, and that might be challenging to put it in the ERP format basically.
So,
Then that's
yeah.
so. This may not be in reality. Also, we have to be that we have to cross check all the time the business processes wherever we are trying to understand and implement the ERP basically.
Uh, yes. So this is an example business process.
Yeah, I'm
Obviously,
just
not
giving an
everywhere the
additional
same
view,
thing will
additional
apply.
view of this.
And yes, yes, and thanks for saying this, because otherwise people may carry impression that this is the way the business conducted. No, thanks for clarifying. So this is just an example. In real life, it could be different. So every business will have its own process of how it should be done. Sometimes it's documented, sometimes it is not documented. Sometimes it is documented but not followed. That, for example, it may be said that credit has to be checked, but not really checked. They just go ahead and start producing. So that could also happen. But the challenge of implementing ERP is that whether you document not document, you need to configure your system, and you may put some enforcement kind of a thing that you could do. And I'm just exceeding time, but let us complete that point. For example, uh, whenever sales guys will give a quotation, they give a quotation to a company and say this is what we will be giving you some kind of quotation, and then client will obviously do some bargaining, and then they will revise the quotation. They'll give a separate quotation, and then the quotation is given, and then the sales order is made based on what internal, or the sales order is given by the customer, given to the company. Now, invariably, in many companies, it happens that even the quotation is raised, let us say, for 100 rupees, the order is received for 90 rupees, okay? Which is fine. It may happen on the phone, and you just do it. You just don't worry too much about it, and just go ahead and do it. So you could have ERP system which will allow that, which will not really bother. Fair enough. Your quotation was 100 rupees. The corresponding sales order is for 190 rupees, which is fine. But you may actually put a rule saying that your quotation and your sales order can't have a different values. So if you quotation 100 rupees, your sales order has to be 100 rupees. If it is not, it will not proceed further. You can't really generate any work order for production department. It has to be same, or the difference should not be more than 10%, something like that. You could put that kind of a rule. Now, challenge that happens is if there is no system, and if there is a rule like that, people can simply bypass, because there is nobody to enforce it. There is nobody to check, kind of a thing, that this rule has to be there. But when you have ERP system in place, things will simply not move ahead. I mean, you can simply physically word, you may actually go ahead and start producing something, but in the digital world, in the system, it is not there. And that is where you will have all kinds of problems in terms of having a system, because the system will not show exactly what is happening in real world. That is actually a failure. So in ERP, when we are doing configuration, we are actually hard coding this process, whatever process that we are talking about, in the system, and we'll be putting some validation rules and all that. If they are the ones which are followed, great, it works smoothly. But if it's not followed, it will have its own challenges. So whenever we are implementing ERPNext or ERP system, we need to really configure ERP to suit the organization, how they want this process to happen. So in the example that we are doing or the story that we are going to follow, we are going to follow a very simplistic process. We are not going to put many validation rules and those kind of things. But in real life, you would have such kind of rules, or you may not have it. So the process will be different for different people, and it could also evolve over a period of time. So initially, people may do it very informally, but as company grows, you want to make it more formal, more rule based, and so on. So that will keep on happening. Yeah? So thanks, Jen, for asking these questions and giving a opportunity to clarify. This is just an example, and real life could be different, and real life may have more challenges than what we could learn in this training session. The real life is obviously going to be more complex, but we'll try to understand, try to learn how things really work. Yes. Any more questions? We are done in a way. So if you have any question, you can stay back and ask questions. I will be here for next 5-10 minutes. But otherwise, we are done. So those who have some other engagement could exit now. We are kind of done. But it's just like in a physical class, when the speaker kind of done, some students stay back and ask questions. So you can stay back in the class session and ask questions. But otherwise, we are done. We can those who need to go for other meetings or work can leave now. But those who have asked questions can ask questions. I'll also stop recording. So we are done. So we'll stop recording.